On October 10, 2019, Joseph Elledge reported his wife, Moon Xiji, missing at around 5:45 p.m.
Hey, Joe.
Hi.
So you said took her purse with her, right?
Yeah.
He said the last time he saw his wife, Moon Xiji, was at their home where they lived with their 1-year-old daughter, Anna, on October 8 at around 11:30 p.m. when she went to bed. When Joseph woke up at around 5 a.m. the next morning, October 9, she was gone. He reported her missing the following day.
I'll enter as a missing person until we hear otherwise from her. But as far as like issues between you and her, is it she just kind of nitpick? Is that kind of the deal, or anything?
Yeah, there was no like big, large arguments recently.
Just disagreements about small things.
Yeah.
Moon Xiji was born on April 18, 1991, and was an only child. Although this was during China's one-child policy, her parents only ever wanted her. She loved painting and was passionate about it, but she transitioned from the arts to mathematics for her career, aiming to become an engineer. She earned her undergraduate degree in engineering from East China University of Science and Technology in Shanghai. In 2012, she arrived at the University of Missouri as part of an exchange program with 5 other students, intending to complete her master's degree. However, she ended up spending much longer there than initially planned. Upon finishing her master's, her professor hired her immediately. After graduating from the University of Missouri, Joseph started working there as well, with Moon Xiji as his supervisor. However, their relationship quickly evolved beyond a professional one. Despite being 5 years younger than her, Joseph fell head over heels in love. They began dating in January 2016, and he proposed on September 8, 2017. They got married 2 weeks later. The following year, they welcomed their daughter, and Moon Xiji became a stay-at-home mom. Then, she disappeared in October 2019. Moon Xiji left behind her car keys, phone, wallet, and, most importantly, her daughter. This was the strangest part, as Moon Xiji was completely devoted to her baby girl. The marriage was struggling, and Moon Xiji had been engaging in a flirtatious online relationship with a man back in China, which might have been developing into something more. Joe and Moon Xiji were not getting along well, as documented by a series of recordings both made, capturing the disintegration of their marriage.
Talk too much. You need to know.
You don't listen enough. You need to know when to listen. Right now what's happening is just more of what I don't want.
Communication.
Lack of it. You want me to hurt somebody? I want to divorce you. Okay? I want that to happen during this semester. I want it to happen soon. Sooner better. Okay?
After Moon Xiji gave birth, her parents traveled from China to support their daughter and spend time with their newborn granddaughter. This upset Joe, and he began directing his frustrations at Moon Xiji. He didn't want them there. She felt confined in the marriage, far from her family, friends, and everything she knew, stuck in Missouri. Compounded by visa constraints, she couldn't leave, a vulnerability Joe exploited. He routinely threatened her, warning of repercussions unless she complied with his demands.
You'll probably get deported. And it's mine. So I don't know. Are you going to play nice? Are you going to try and play good? Obviously, I'm not going to represent you to stay in America anymore. But Anna's not leaving America. I can't tell you that.
Has she finally had enough and fled from this failing marriage? The police investigated. She hadn't boarded a plane, taken a taxi, or used any transportation service. She simply disappeared. Joseph reported this on October 15th, detailing their recent arguments and the fact that she mentioned needing to be somewhere the morning she vanished.
During that time, she had told me that she had to get up early in the morning to go somewhere, and I asked her where she's going, what she's meeting. And I asked her about 3 times who was she meeting, and her answer was, quote, me. So she wouldn't tell me who she was meeting or where she was going, what she was doing. And then later in the night, about 5 a.m., is when I woke up to Anna crying. I put my hand over there, and she wasn't there. So I went out of the room, and I searched the rest of the apartment for my team, and I couldn't see her anywhere.
One aspect of Joe's account stood out as particularly strange. After Moon Xi's parents hadn't heard from her for about a day, they sent a friend who lived nearby to check on Joe, Moon Xi, and their baby. It was only when this friend arrived that Joe acknowledged Monkshi was missing. He didn't call the police until people started looking for her. Joe also claimed that on the day Monkshi disappeared, October 9th, when he woke up to find her gone, instead of searching for her, he got into her car and started driving around the hiking trails to relax.
I got to relax. Wait a minute. You got to relax. Your wife is missing. You're now the sole caregiver of a 1-year-old child. You went on a relaxing drive. I gotta tell you, that strikes me as strange, and I don't think I'm alone in that. I think 99 out of 100 people on the street would say, that's not the time to relax. I mean, you haven't even told anybody, I don't know where my wife is. You lock your door when you left the apartment? Yeah. If she comes home, how's she going to get back in? You've got to see using all the phones in the house. She can't even call anybody. Yeah. Did you leave her a note? That, hey, don't worry about Hannah and me because we're out for a drive. Didn't do that, right? I didn't. Why not? I didn't think about it. You knew she wasn't coming back. I didn't know. If somebody did something to her, or she accidentally did something to herself, yeah, we absolutely cannot stop until we find her. You understand that, right? Did you kill your wife? No, I did not. You know what happened to her? No, I did not.
Things were incredibly strange, but there was no concrete evidence to go on. On October 25th, the Columbia Police Department declared Monkshi G's disappearance a criminal investigation, suspecting foul play. On that very day, Joe was arrested, not for his wife's disappearance, but for child abuse. He was apprehended in his car with packed bags, suggesting he was preparing to leave. Monkshi G's mother had informed the police about suspicions of abuse against their daughter, citing bruises. Monkshi G herself had mentioned the abuse on several occasions. He was held on a $500,000 bond. On the same day of his arrest, police searched Joe's house and uncovered several items, including a diary containing instructions on how to handle police and media interviews. One notable reminder he had written down was to always refer to Monkshi G in the present tense. Remember how he told police he went for a drive to unwind on the day she disappeared, visiting parks and such? They found muddy boots in his house, possibly the ones he wore that day. However, despite tracking his movements via cell phone records, investigators did not yet find what they were searching for: Monkshi G's body. Despite the lack of a body, Joe Elledge was charged with first-degree murder while imprisoned on child abuse charges. Proving the case without a body was challenging, especially since, over a year later, they still hadn't found it. That changed in March 2021, when a hiker at Rockbridge Memorial State Park spotted some bright colors among the snowy gray spring foliage. Skeletal remains were discovered, just 15 minutes south of their home. The discovery was random, but Monkshi G was finally found after a year and a half. Her remains were too far gone, preventing any determination of the cause of death. However, the discovery of 4 ribs that were completely broken indicated that her death was violent. Joe's cell phone records placed him near the location where her remains were discovered on the day he reported her missing. Also, that day had been a rainy day, and anyone outside would have likely gotten muddy. Investigators found juniper needles in his muddy shoe found a year earlier in his house, which were matched through DNA analysis to juniper trees near her body. This matching DNA confirmed they originated not only from the same species of trees, but also from the same exact trees on the body location. Joe had been standing right beside where her body was eventually found. His trial commenced on November 1, 2021, and he pleaded not guilty. Joe now claimed that Monkshi hadn't run away, but she had an accident. According to his account, the couple got into an argument and began pushing each other. Joe claimed that during the altercation, he shoved Monkshi, causing her to fall backwards with a thud. After she got up, she asked him to leave her alone, then Joe went for a walk while Monkshi went to bed. The following morning, at 5 a.m., Joe awoke to the sound of his baby crying and discovered his wife dead, likely from the head injury she received last night. The defense contended that the altercation wasn't merely shoving. After all, Monkshi G had 4 broken ribs. She was defenseless, dragged to her bed, and strangled by Joe. In a panic, he then buried her. The defense aimed for a manslaughter verdict, while the prosecution argued for first-degree murder. After considering the full details of the case, the jury reached a compromise. They found Joseph Elledge guilty of second-degree murder, determining he did cause her death but he didn't plan to. As a result, he was sentenced to 28 years in prison, which matched Monkshi-ji's age at the time of her death. Joe, 5 years younger than Monkshi and often seen as immature for his age, struggled with the realization that he couldn't control her. When his ideal of having a traditional, submissive wife fell apart, he finally snapped and wanted her gone.